So now we are going to start with the much awaited practical of our advanced mobile programming, which is database programming with SQLite. So in this video, we are going to create an application where we can insert, update, delete and show data from a database. So to create a database application in Android, we have over here as SQLite Open Helper class. So with the help of this SQLite Open Helper, we can actually manage database creation and its version management. So using this or extending this class SQLite Open Helper, we can create a database, upgrade a database, open existing database and so on. Okay, so I have created over here a project as database, and in my activity underscore main.xml file I have my design ready already. So you can see it over here: ID, first name, last name, date of birth, and there are buttons: insert, update, delete, show all. So I have used a linear layout, the parent layout, and orientation is vertical. Then again I have my linear layout, which in which the orientation is horizontal, and under this linear layout I have my text view and my edit text. Okay, similarly for there are more linear layouts for each and every text view and edit text. So linear layout, again text view, edit text and so on. And finally for my buttons I have one more linear layout, and the orientation is set to vertical for the buttons part, and I have insert, update, delete and show buttons. Okay, so the design part is ready, and in this is my main activity. So I need to create a different .kt file in order to use this SQLite Open Helper. Okay, so let's create a class over here. So right click and new Kotlin file class. We'll give the name as database helper and select as class, click on OK. So this is my database helper class where I would be extending the SQLite Open Helper. So over here you can see this is the implementation of SQLite helper class. So this is my database helper which I created, extends SQLite helper, where we can put our database name. Then to create a database we have on create method. Then to upgrade a database we have on upgrade. To downgrade the database to the lower versions we have downgrade, and we have something called as companion object, where we would be declaring a database version, database name, and the column IDs of our database. So this companion object is nothing but it acts as a static members. Okay, so in Java we had static variables and static methods. So in Kotlin we cannot define any static methods or static members. There is no such keyword called as static in Kotlin. So for that we have companion objects, where we would simply declare whatever the static variables and methods we have in our project, and we can simply access them easily without creating any object. Okay, so let's jump into our Android Studio over here, and now let's extend our SQLite helper. So we'll first put the context part. So we'll create a context over here. We'll pass context and okay. So context is nothing but it allows us to access the application level resources, the resources which we have, then broadcast receivers and the database part, or where the database is resided. So this application level resources are been accessed or provided access to us with the help of this context. Okay, and it is simply the background information we say, right, in context to this scenario. So it is kind of a background information. So we have now context over here, and let's extend our SQLite helper. So we have SQLite helper. Let's search for it, and yeah, SQLite Open Helper. So this class we need to extend, and we need to pass some parameters for those SQLite helper class, as we have seen it over here, the entire this part, and we'll pass it. First was context, then we have as database name, so database underscore name, comma, then we will pass null. So this null is nothing for the factory or the cursor, and the version which is 1. Okay, and under our class, so here it shows unresolved reference, because we need to uh, declare this database under our companion object. So we'll create a companion object over here, and we'll declare this database name. The name of our database, I'll give it as college.db. Next, I have the table name. So this is where we create, where we declare a database name, table name. So table underscore name equal to student table. So student underscore table. This is my table name. Then the columns. So I have call here. I will have call underscore 1, which states the column number 1, which would be my ID. Okay, then I have column 2, column underscore 2, which would be my name or simply the first name. Then column underscore 3, which would be my last name. So last name, and I have column underscore 4, which would be my date of birth. So this variable is in caps, so let us make it small variable, and over here also val. So companion object, it acts as where we can store our static members or define our static members and methods as we have in Java. But in Kotlin, we do not have static keyword, so we have to create a companion object and put those static members or static functions over here under companion object. Okay, so we have declared this our database name, table, and columns. Now we need to create a database. So we need to override the onCreate method, which we have seen over here, this one. So let's override function onCreate db, the first one. Select it, just comment the todo part, and under this we would write db. This we'll use this db over here, db dot, to execute query we have execute SQL, the first one, and we'll write the query. So the query is create the creation to create a database or to create a table. So the query is create table, and we need to bind this student table, right? So student table is stored over here and in table name. So we'll pass that table name variable over here. So we'll have dollar and table underscore name, and then we need to pass the columns. So first one was ID, then data type of ID is integer, and we'll keep it as primary key. So we need to auto increment this primary ID. So we'll have auto increment. So we'll concatenate it primary key. Then we have this concatenation operator. Then this double quotes again, auto increment, comma. Then we have f name. Then we have name. The type of f name is text data type. Then we have, let me bring it to the down, name. The type of it is text, and we have dob, date of birth, and we have the type as integer. Okay, so here there is one extra double quote. Let us remove it, and this is our query for db.execute SQL. So here it shows some error, only save. Okay, so let us remove this from here. and it will go fine. So now we have created a database. Now let's upgrade our database to the new version if any. So for override function, we have on upgrade this one. Let's comment this to the part, and over here we would write db dot db dot execute SQL, this one, and under this we have the query. If at all there is any existing table, we'll drop it. So drop table if exist, and we have this concatenation operator for existing table, which is table name. Drop table if exist table name, and again here we'll remove this safe none. So on create, on upgrade is done. Now we would create our own function in order to insert the data into the database, right? So let's create a function and we'll give the name as insert data, and we'll have the data which we want to insert was first name. We'll give data type as string, then it was surname, then data type is string, and we have date of birth, and we have int, data type as int, and open close, and under this we will have our variable. We'll use the db equal to this. So we need to insert the data. So we have a method, as I'll show you over here, as write read database and write database. So whenever we want to insert insert data into the database, we have this writable database, and so we'll use this method. So since we are inserting, we would use the write database, and next we'll declare a variable as content values equal to content values, and using this content values we would insert data one by one in the column, in the rows. So content values dot put, we have our columns which we declared, column 1. So we won't take column 1 because column 1 we have id and we have set it to auto increment. So we'll take column 2 and comma, we'll put the variable name inside it. So this name comes from here which we have defined. So let me copy this so we can do it faster. 3 4. So the change would be in column 3, here in column 4. So this here would be surname, and over here it would be DOB, date of birth. And we need to put the query. So db dot insert, the query for insert, we have our table name. Where do we want to insert? Table name, and we'll pass null over here, null, comma, content values. From where do we want to get the values? We have stored it in content values. So pass this variable content values over here. So we have done with the insert part. Now we need to create a function if at all we want to update some data. So we have update data. We'll create a method as update data, and we'll update from id. So id we have int, okay, then we have name as string, then we have surname as string, then we have date of birth as int, okay, and we have again the same thing. Let me copy it. So control C over here, and since we are again updating, so we have the same method writable database, okay, and here we would add one more row for our id if at all anyone wants to update the id. So column 1 also, and over here id name, surname, date of birth, and we have the update query db dot update. We have the table name, comma, null, comma, contained values. Okay, and so the query for update is using, so we need to put some where clause in the update, right? We have a query of SQL where update table name so and so, and where id is equal to so and so. So we need to have a where clause in our update query. So let's put comma and we'll update based on the id. So id equal to, we have double quotes over here, comma, will pass the array of id. Okay, and it shows some error over here. Okay, so here there null won't come, only table name content values id equal to, this gets closed over here, and array of again id. Okay, so let's, yeah, we need to change it over here. That is the reason it's showing error string. Yeah, so we are converting it, getting it into an array. So we need to put this over here as string. So we are done with the insertion, updation, and the last part is delete. So let's create a function for delete. Same thing, function delete data, and we'll pass id, delete based on the id string, colon, the type is, we have int, and we have the method body, declare a variable, use this db equal to this dot, again the writable database. Since we are deleting some data, it is performing the write operations on our database. And then we have, it shows over here return. Okay, so return db dot, we have delete, and the query is table name, comma, where we would have where clause over here also as to which data we want to delete, so based on the id. So again we have id and equal to question mark, and over here array of id, we pass it over here. Okay, so now in order to show the results to the user, we need to create a cursor. So what exactly is a cursor? A cursor is used to process the rows in our table from a database and show the output back to the user. So let's create a variable as show data over here, and we'll extend the cursor, and we have the get method or getter or setter as we had in Java. So here we have get, with which we can pull the or fetch the data from a database. So under get we will have a variable as db equal to this dot writable database. So why writable? Over here you can see we were having two methods, get readable database, which is used for create or open a database, and second is get writable database, which is used to create open database that will be used for reading and writing. So that is the reason get writable database. And next I need to show the output in another variable. So val variable will declare as a result equal to, I'll pass this db dot raw query. So for the data, for the query to get data from a database or from a table, we have raw query, and for insert, update and delete we have execute SQL, and for select only we have raw query. So raw query, and over here we would have our query, which is select star from the database name, which is nothing but our table name. So let's concatenate it, and table name, comma, I would pass here as last parameter as null. Oh, oops, let me correct it. So here it is null, and we need to, again it shows error that return an expression. So let's return our result back over here. Okay, so we have created with all the methods in database helper.kt file. We extended SQLite open helper, then we, for the creation of database, we created onCreate method, then onUpgrade for the database, then insert data, for data to be inserted in a database, update data, delete, show data. So you can see over here, function delete data is never used. So these functions are not yet used. So this is the part one of database programming where we have just created the functions and what all things we need to put it in there. So in the part two, we will see how to use these functions in main activity.kt file. Okay, and also we would call the set on click listener for our buttons which we have created: insert, update, delete, and show. So stay tuned for the part two of database programming. That's it from this video. Thank you so much for watching and don't forget to subscribe.